This is a comic review of Doomsday +1. This is from September 1975. It's from Charlton Comics. Charlton Comics was a company that was in Derby and Connecticut. They produced thousands and thousands of quite decent comics. They specialised in everything: westerns, science fiction, horror, and many others. And obviously this sort of a dystopian story. Now this is issue 2. Issue 2. Key thing is, it's by John Byrne, who I think is one of the best artists around. I really still love his work. And this was apparently one of his earliest, one of his first issues. And I just think it's a great little story. There's only 6 issues. Had a bit of a checkered career. There was like 1 to 6, and then they stopped. Then there was some reprints, 7 to 12. And they just reprinted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How odd is that? How confusing, how annoying. I've actually got some in my comic collection. I've actually got some of the later issues. I haven't got the early. I'm obviously not going to get. I'm not going to be that obsessive to get every issue. It doesn't. I like the story, and if I got gaps in the original, that's going to be. However, I was actually looking for. There's Charlton Bullseye and Charlton Spotlight. I have to think what the name was. Also came out, and also there's a Doomsday Squad 1 to 7, just to confuse things. Now they've actually. John Byrne brought out recently, or a couple of years ago now, Doomsday .1, just to confuse it even more. Doomsday .1. I'm not certain the resemblance, the story to that, because I have yet to buy a copy of that book. Must do that at some point. So there's quite a bit of a check grip. But on to this book. The characters, and I'm going to say their names. I'm just going to quickly look up the names because I can't remember. Captain Boyd Ellis. There's Jill Malden. She's his fiancée of this guy who's apparently United States Air Force, and Japanese physicist Ikea Yashida. And Jill is a linguist, which is good because you've got this Goth. I always assumed he was a caveman, to be honest. You've got Kuno, so there's a character there, Kuno. And, well, obviously sometimes people obviously can work out what he's saying. I suppose he eventually worked out, maybe they worked out the Gothic language, but I didn't realise he was Goth. So maybe they could have got Latin or something. Maybe they could have had Latin. But however, in this story, the story involves robots. So we've got the end of the world. The end of the world happened because of this guy, this madman that attacked, and America and Russia thought each other, and they blew the world up. These characters, they were all off planet, luckily for them, and survived. Kuno, of course, was recovered in a Captain America-like way. He was frozen, along with a mammoth, as you always normally are. However, you've got these robots attack, and they're sent by another madman. Well, he's a sort of robot madman, and that's the general gist of the story. There's lots of robots, and lots of robots getting smashed and bashed, and it's basically a lot of general action all the way through. And it's a good, well-drawn yarn. I love this. I mean, this is but the thing is always the motivations of the madman, as I would say. The madman, the robot, basically he's not really a robot. He's sort of in between. He's a cyborg, human, robot, etc. But he's got this thing. He wants to basically finish off humanity, and yet he wants to rule the world. Never see that's really compatible. What's the point? Ruling the world. There's no one on there unless you've got to count all the animals, cats, and dogs and things, but ridiculous. Anyway, that's obviously what he loves thinking about. Obviously, he hasn't thought it through particularly well. However, great story. Absolutely recommend that story. I really, genuinely, it's a cracking little tale. Likewise, all the rest of the Doomsday +1 books. I think that they're great. There's some really good, there's some genuinely good stories there. And it's just a series I just always think sad that didn't continue. Now, the inking and quality of this, like I say, this is why I would love to see an omnibus edition, a real cleaned up version. If the original pages, the art pages and colouring could all be redone and actually get a real quality book, that would be even better, because you can really see, the white, the flecks of white all the way through. There's like this blue, you can see all the flecks. It's just not good printing. However, one thing I always like in this, because of course This is I love it. The adverts. The adverts are always great. You always got all the X-ray glasses and stuff. I don't think they do those anymore. Whoopee cushions. You got magic brain calculator. No knowledge needed. Okay. Atomic joy buzzer. I suspected it isn't atomic, but who knows? Give it the benefit of the doubt. Sneezing powder. Flesh-eating plants. Triffids. No, that wasn't there. That was a bit of luck. That would have been pretty bad. However, we got Charlton Bullseye because they got the chart. I love the adverts for these. You know, Charlton Bullseye. And this one obviously advertising. Charlton Bullseye was a really great magazine it would feature like odd bits of Charlton things, obviously, in all the various fanzine dedicated entirely to Charlton Comics, loaded with news, interviews, and I love those sort of things. I think all magazines, I love it. Marvel recently brought out Foom. They brought out a Foom one, and I love that. I picked that up. DC had DC Nation, I think something was called, and I love that one as well. And Foom, of course, years and years ago. I don't know why they don't do that. Anyway, however, I suppose they look at it and say, well, there's online now, of course, so why put all the information out in a sort of magazine? But me being old-fashioned, I like a magazine, to be honest. So you had this. You had all the lists here. Barney and Betty Rubble, obviously the Flintstones. Beetle Bailey, Blondie, Dino, Flintstones. You had the Great Gazoo, whoever he was. Hong Kong Phooey, I know him. Pebbles and Bam Bam. Yeah. Popeye, Sarge Snorkel, Speed Buggy, Scooby-Doo, Valley of the Dinosaurs. And they also had horror as well. I love this. They also had war as well. Armed services, I guess that is. The printing's gone slightly misaligned. Fighting Army, Fighting Marines and War. And also you had like Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. Wow. These stories should be reprinted. Why aren't they? Beyond the Grave. I think some of these probably have been. You probably can get collections of these. I'm certain people. Enterprise and Souls must be, surely. Maybe not. Haunted, Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves, Midnight Tales, great stuff. And these ones as well. These are actually, some of these are genuinely good, these romance ones. You got Love and Romance, or there was Career Romances they did brought out, which was sort of like ones that air hostess sort of things. They were great stories. Secrets of Young Brides, Teen Confessions, Time for Love. And then you got The Adventures. You got one Western, Billy the Kid. Then House of Yang, Korg, Phantom, Vengeance Squad, and Yang. Don't know what that one was. But the great stuff, and like I said, this comic is great. You've also there's the adverts, of course. And then there was a lovely page, one, obviously, story. Single page story. I have no idea who that is by, but it clearly sort of fits the same theme of the End of the World story as obviously the book, the comic itself. Dr. Fauci. No, not that Dr. Fauci. However, 100 pieces, toy soldier set. Great stuff. Join the professional team on the back. So this is it. I really recommend this. Doomsday +1. Great series of comics. Issue, like I said, this is issue 2. Obviously, there's 1 to 6. Definitely worth checking out. And of course, looking for the Doomsday .1 book as well. So